For this video, I'm going to do a painting just off the top of my head, and hopefully I can paint something that's going to be quite free, quite loose, and quite interesting. So all you need to do is work as quick as you can, use the bigger brushes that you can, and try and get that successful painting. So that said, let's get straight into the video. So straight off the bat, I want to use this, well, it's quite a small Hake brush, but it holds plenty of water. And so I want to start off with wetting the sky area. And I must apologise, sometimes I forget to press record, but what I did for the sky, I just squoze out some Paynes grey. It's just Paynes grey from my Winsor & Newton paints. And just with the water that's already on the paper, you can see the many things that happened in the sky, and I want that sort of movement, and that's what's happened. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see that bit, which is quite annoying. But anyway, I've just added a little bit of sap green, and then added a little bit of yellow ochre to the bottom of the grass. And then I think for this one I'm going to add a few sort of mountains in the background, so this is going to be in the far distance. So I mixed up a little bit of blue into the Paynes grey, and I'm adding this even though the paint's still wet, so I want that nice and diffused look, so that it will appear that it's in the distance. And that's one of the tricks that you can use, wet and wet, to get that nice soft and diffused look. And you can always go in afterwards to define some of the edges, some of the mountains. So like I said, I'm not using a reference or anything like that. I do have a reference on my phone. I took a picture a couple of weeks ago, even got it developed, so I'm ready for that painting, and maybe I'll do that next time. It is going to be quite a challenge, and I'm going to pop up the picture for you now. This was a nice scene, and I really like the way the sky looks, and it never does look as good on a photograph. But anyway, that's the painting that I do plan on doing next. Hopefully if I get it right, I will post it. Now, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's living here in the UK. We do get quite a lot of rain, a lot of weather. And so a lot of times I do find it more interesting adding a dramatic scene with thunderous, threatening sky. But I just wanted to see before the paint dries completely. There's a little bit of things happening here, and usually I wouldn't welcome that, but I think this has given me an immediate tree line. So there could be a few trees on the bottom. I'm planning on making this a bit of water on the bottom. I've got the mountains. You can see how soft this is, how diffused it is. And this I can use to my advantage to add some atmosphere. So a lot of the mountains are going to be sort of drowned in some mist, fogs, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of weather, a lot of atmosphere in this painting. And like I said, from the first wash, when you leave it, you come back, things have happened on the paper which just happen, and then you can have a look, assess the painting and see where you want to go. Oftentimes as shapes and things happen like this tree line that you don't expect and you don't intend. It's not something that I've painted, but it's something that watercolor does, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. So I've just switched to a smaller brush now. I'm just going to define a few little edges on the mountains, and I'm just using a pale mix of that Paynes grey. So let me just pop that in, and I'm just using this careful stroke, and I want to take some of that out towards the bottom, just so that I have the outer edge of the mountain, and then it can go ahead and disappear into the mist. And then I can see another little ridge that I just want to define a little touch, like so. And this is giving me the atmosphere I want, with it being having mountains in the scene. I do want all that sort of atmosphere, all that drama. I've got the clouds and the sky, and then just defining a couple of edges of these mountains. Maybe I can add a little bit more to this side. And so we got that nice edge, and I'm going to take some of that out. And that's just an impression swallowed up in the mist. I might go in and add some more, not sure yet, but I'm going to leave that for now and make a decision towards, as I do some more of this painting, I'll make decisions on what I want to do with those mountains. So they might need a bit more solid sort of shapes, solid tones, but as I progress through the painting, add the other sort of components, then I will know what to add for that. I'm just going to pop in a little bit of water on this area. So what I want is to reflect some of that sky into this bottom part where the water is. So I'm just going in with some fast strokes. There's not too much of water, there's not too much water on my brush. So I'm getting this nice broken, you see the broken effect in the water, and that gives me the nice shine, the reflections in that water. So maybe I'll come a little bit over this way, and that'll probably do it for that water area. And I can add a little bit of darker tones perhaps when it's dried, and that's going to be dry brush as well. So I'm still in the I'm still deciding where I want this to go, but it's just nice to get the paints out and just throw it down and see what happens. And like I said, this is going to be a tree line, so I think for that maybe I'll turn the paper upside down, not sure, because I don't want it to come down with my board at this angle. That is helping the pigment move down, but I don't want that obviously to come past the water. I'm just mixing a bit of the Paynes grey with some sap green, as you can see. So this is going to be a nice rich mix, and this is for more the foreground. So let's just pop that in nice and gently. There's a time where you can move quick, and then you sometimes, with this Hake brush, sometimes I do get splashing into the painting, so I don't want that. So that's why I'm moving a bit more carefully. And bring you over to this side. I'm gonna pop in the same mix. Come in this side. Maybe all the way there. Now I can add a little bit of colour, just tapping into some, it's a brown mix, I think it's the burnt umber. So just tap in a little bit of that here and there. Not everywhere, just add some interest into the scene. And then I can go ahead and leave that to settle, or I can, let me just move the camera, or I can grab my little scraping tool, if I can find it. Okay, so I've got my scraping tool. I had to dig then, and so maybe just a few little rocks in the scene, which is always nice to do. Just a few, and a couple on this side. Not quite. Okay, I need to leave that a little bit just to dry somewhat so that I'll get a nice clean scrape, and then I can add these rocks. Maybe this area is perfect now. Okay, it's beginning to work now, you can see. Okay, just a few little rocks, and I will go in and add the darker tones to those rocks. So just a gentle mix of the Paynes grey now, just darken some of those mountains, make them a little bit more solid in places. So I don't want to come down all the way. I do want that mist to carry right through the mountains, and so it's enough to show you that this is mountains. It's enough to translate into solid form, and then just with a clean damp brush just take away the edges just to give that soft edge. So I've got a bit of a hard edge on the top where the top of the mountains are, and then just diffuse that with a little bit of a damp brush towards the bottom. So you can use a tissue doing this. You can just blot out with whatever you have. I just don't have any tissue to hand, so I'm just opting for the rinsed out brush, clean brush, and then just going ahead and adding a few little parts here and there just to indicate the same on the other side. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Hopefully you like this one so far. There's not really a lot to do now. I'm just going to darken up a few places here and there, maybe add some definition, some more tones, but that's pretty much the whole sort of structure of the paintings down. And I'm just going to emphasize the tree line, and I will be turning the paper upside down for that. You will see that. So it just gives you a chance not to overthink things when you're painting upside down. You don't get to see you can't overthink things because it's not the right way around. So it's just a way for tricking your mind and helping not to overthink things or overpaint or things like that. And so just adding a little bit more to this mountain just to give it a little bit more substance, and I think that's looking quite nice. Obviously when you've got fog and mist, you can add little bits and take away, have little parts disappearing and then appearing again, and that's how you get these misty sort of scenes as well. Just adding a little bit of water to the tree line in the sort of mid foreground, and I will be turning, you can see, just popping the board upside down just saves your brain from overthinking things and painting things too perfect. And I'm just gonna add in just a few various tones. The reason why I wet the paper is I want different sort of tones, and because there's a lot of fog and mist in this scene, I don't want anything too hard. I don't want it to come forward too much, so that's why I added the water, so it just gives that little diffusion as well. And I will add a few layers and a few different colors. This is mostly sort of a burnt umber and Payne's grey, and then I'm just going to go in with a little bit of sap green and just a few various mixes just to give me that solid tree line. And then I just need to add the bottom of the sort of shoreline where it meets the water, so that it gives me that nice, hopefully, that nice look of a bit of a forest. I just repeat the same process that I did in the tree line, and that just offers a bit of continuation, and it looks as though the forest started up towards the mountains. And so I just wanted to carry that theme through. It looks quite nice, and it's quite convincing. And so yeah, I do like that part of the painting, and that's one of the things that happened as well when I came back to look at the painting. It sort of give this feathered look from the green hill before the mountains, and so that just appeared, and I just went along with that and emphasized the trees. So I'm just adding a little bit of darker tones along the base of the trees before the water, so that it just gives that more solid look, and it does improve that. And I'm also using the finger just to blend out and soften some of those trees. Using the smaller brush as well, just to get the smaller area painted. So this is just a bit of land meeting the water, and that's just a simple mix of Payne's grey, just any sort of dark mix. It don't really matter the colour, and then just popping in a little bit on this side. And this just reminds me of sort of a Highland scene, or somewhere in Scotland, that sort of scene. If you've been to Scotland, it's a really stunning place. You got lots of mountains, lots of greenery, lots of lochs, they call them, lakes and water. So it always reminds me, painting this sort of scene of Scotland or Wales or Cumbria, those places that are more sort of rural, and just some beautiful, stunning locations. And obviously it's just nice to pop in those threatening skies just to add that atmosphere, and obviously the mist in the mountains. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Please do drop us a comment in the comment section, and also if there's anything you'd like me to paint, then feel free to suggest whatever you want, and obviously I'll try my best. I do like to paint these sort of scenes. And so this is probably my comfort zone. It's something that I can paint just on the cuff and make the things up as I go along. But I think the main thing is just have fun, just see what happens. And a lot of times, a lot of the painting does itself, like this tree line. Once I left the paint to dry, it just bled out and feathered upwards. And so that gave me the tree line, which I went with. I know a lot of you like when I remove the tape, the big reveal. So let's just remove the tape and see what this painting looks like with the clean border. Oftentimes they do look sort of 10 times better than what the actual painting is. So it gives you an idea if you do want to frame or if you want to mount your work and have it on the wall. Just gives you that nice sort of look, and it gives a nice finish to the painting. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But yeah, that's the painting complete, and I'm quite happy with this. Quite atmospheric, and yeah, just let me know what you think. So I hope you like this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my channel. Just a quick, the first wash went down as quick as I could paint, and then just slow down a little bit just to get some more finer details. But just a nice atmospheric painting. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.